The future of the Monsterverse looks very bright. Godzilla x Kong opened to rave reviews by fans, and in conjunction with Dune 2, the pair made Warner Bros. The first film studio to cross $1 billion at the international box office this year. Needless to say, the Monsterverse is doing very well financially and with fans, which has left many to wonder exactly what is next for Godzilla and his co-stars. So today, Heralds of the Titans, let's go through the news that we know regarding the future of the Monsterverse, beginning with the main man himself, Godzilla. While an official sequel to Godzilla x Kong has not been announced, Godzilla vs. Kong and New Empire director Adam Wingard is on record about saying what he would like to see in the future of the Monsterverse. In an interview with Discussing Film, he talked about some of his favorite Godzilla projects and characters, and specifically cited Godzilla vs. Destroya as one of his top choices. He was then asked about the potential of introducing Godzilla Jr. as the natural progression after introducing Suko. Although Adam Wingard didn't confirm nor deny his desire to see the son of Godzilla, the character does play a prominent role in Godzilla vs. Destroya, and if Wingard is given creative control, then he might see two of his self-proclaimed favorite titans make their on-screen debuts. He also wants to pull even further away from the human element of the story, with Adam Wingard saying that he wanted to focus more on the inter-titan drama that is brewing, specifically in a much more Godzilla-centric project. Until now, despite being the namesake of several Monsterverse projects, Godzilla hasn't been the main protagonist in some time now. In Godzilla and again in King of the Monsters, much more focus was given to the human characters, with Godzilla being used as a backdrop for the human story. This created an engaging environment for humans caught in the midst of these titanic conflicts, but it never gave Godzilla the spotlight outright. In Godzilla vs. Kong though, this began to drift, although the center of the focus was more geared toward Kong than Godzilla, and this happened again with the New Empire. It was a shift onto the Titans. Giving Godzilla the same treatment that Kong has gotten in the last two projects would be a good way to give the king his own due attention, and could make him into a much more three-dimensional character rather than just a force of nature and the king of the Titans. We'll be getting into season 2 of Monarch a little later, and the other spin-off shows that are in development in just a minute, but first, let's cover a brief overview of Godzilla vs. Destroya and some of the key plot elements and characters, which will give us some insight into Adam Wingard's personal preferences. This isn't to say that this is what we're definitely going to see in the future, just what he is most likely to draw from if he is given creative control. Destroya himself was actually the product of a device that we've already seen in the mainline Monsterverse, that being the Oxygen Destroyer, which was used to attack Ghidorah in King of the Monsters. Although the weapon ultimately backfired and nearly killed Godzilla, the original Oxygen Destroyer is as old as the character of Godzilla, debuting in 1954. This is originally what killed the first iteration of Godzilla, but the weapon also had some side effects. Deep beneath the bay wherein it was detonated, a swarm of crustaceans was exposed to not just the Oxygen Destroyer, but Godzilla's own radioactive output, and after its detonation, they began to mutate. Eventually, this swarm huddled together into one collective, eventually forming the creature known as Destroya. And in the Monsterverse, we know that not only has the Oxygen Destroyer been used, but several atomic bombs have been set off at various points in the franchise, which could have also fed into this mutation. Destroya is particularly dangerous for his adaptability, seeing as he doesn't have one solid form, and can shift the crabs along his outer shell in order to protect and heal wherever they are needed. Perhaps what he is most well known for is his hand in killing Godzilla Jr. in a scene that Wingard specifically references in this interview, one that is incredibly influential of this time and with these characters, specifically stating this quote: "The ending of that film, when Godzilla Jr. dies and subsequently Godzilla melts to death, it is so poignant and also beautiful in the way that they do it. The first time that I saw it, it brought tears to my eyes, and part of that is thanks to Akira Ifukube's grand score that plays in that scene. In the film, Destroya's demonic form is getting out of hand, and even Godzilla is having a difficult time standing up to the newly evolved Destroya. He grabs Jr., and with a blast from his micro-oxygen attack, he throws Godzilla Jr. into a building and subsequently murders him. For the remainder of the fight, Godzilla is trying desperately to reach his fallen son in a truly heartbreaking display that deepens Godzilla's character far beyond anything we've seen in the Monsterverse yet. What's interesting about Godzilla Jr. though, is the connection that he forms with several human characters, including primarily Mickey Sagusa. And we know that there are several characters in the Monsterverse that are a lot like Mickey. We won't dive all the way into it here, but be sure to check out our previous videos drawing a comparison between Mickey and Gia, who we believe is being adapted into something of a Monsterverse equivalent. Since we've covered this before, let's move on to Monarch Season 2 though, which was already recently confirmed to be returning to Apple+. The first season gave us an in-depth look into not just Monarch's evolution and development, but the greater Titan landscape, complete with geographical exploration of the different Titan territories and their histories. Monarch became one of the most elaborate encyclopedias of Monsterverse information that we have because of how wide and far Monarch explores, but they are far from done. There are still decades in between Monarch's foundation and the present day, meaning that there is still plenty of room to explore. We also know that the majority of the present day events happened before Godzilla King of the Monsters, meaning the characters within have not yet experienced Ghidorah's calamity, the Godzilla vs. Kong conflict, or the events leading into the new empire. As personal preference, we would love to see the cast of Monarch exploring the emergence and aftermath of the Call of the Alpha. Watching the Titans emerge from hibernation in one massive wave from a human perspective would certainly raise the stakes from the first season, and would also give Monarch the organization a substantial boost in creative capacity and exploration. The other spin-off shows have not yet been named, so it's up to our imaginations for the time being. But let's talk about some of the most interesting theories that could be explored in the spin-off show. First off, could be the domain of the Hollow Earth. And even though human characters have traversed the Hollow Earth before, there is still so much to be explored there. The colony of exiled great apes, the Iwi tribe living in hiding, and the general ecosystem that could be a compelling avenue to explore in a show. If not this, then perhaps a similar prequel series detailing the life of Hank Marlowe on Skull Island, especially looking at the 33 years he was trapped without rescue, or even an Apex series detailing a more nuanced look at their objectives and the creation of Mechagodzilla. After all, they've been framed as the antagonists, but is building a more human-controlled defense system as a contingency plan, especially against unpredictable and powerful titans, all that evil, and all that villainous of a motivation at all? We don't believe so. The corruption of Mechagodzilla by the telepathic powers of Ghidorah was an unintended side effect, and there is a case to be made that Apex's intentions are not entirely malicious. Whatsoever the content may be though, there is still a deep well of Monsterverse content to mine, as one of the producers over at Legendary Films stated that this is just the very beginning of the Monsterverse, and to akin it to a first phase, meaning that after the success of the new empire, they are here to stay for a very long time. We also don't know how many more spin-off shows in the Monsterverse are going to be set, whether just one more or several. But what is clear is that the creatives behind the Monsterverse has confirmed that it will go forward in good hands for the foreseeable future. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of this? What do you think of the future of the Monsterverse? Switching to the Titans' perspective, the next film focusing on Godzilla, Adam Wingard having one of his favorite films be Godzilla vs. Destroya, and more. As always, my friends and heralds of the Titans, thank you so much for visiting the channel today. Hit that subscribe button if you've been enjoying, and have a great one.